I've just got back from a trip to Bali, and while I was away, something happened to me which has probably happened to many of you, and that is my phone broke down. Now, when you're away on holiday, trying to run a business from kind of overseas, what you don't want is for your phone to die. Specifically, what happened was the power port for the phone broke, and so I couldn't charge the phone, and it was getting flatter and flatter and flatter. And then I thought maybe I can install the latest iOS, and unfortunately I didn't have 50% of my battery, so I couldn't even do that. And so I was kind of stuck wondering, what do I do? It was about 10:30 at night when I discovered the problem. And that was when the idea occurred to me that, you know what, I should try Reiki, because I'd used Reiki before to fix some electronic things, and I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. Because if anyone's dealt with iPhones malfunctioning before, you know that usually what happens is you have to take your phone in to an Apple store, and then who knows how long it's going to get fixed. Or if you're like me and you live regionally, you have to send your phone off to get fixed, and then it can take, who knows, 1-2 weeks without your phone, which isn't much fun. And so I thought, you know, the best idea is actually to give Reiki a shot. So in this video, what I'm actually going to do is I'll show you how I went about fixing it. And I took some video footage, well, my daughter did, of me kind of live. And so I'll show you that. I'll show you how I worked on it. Before I do that though, I'd just like to say that my newest novel, The Slob's Guide to the Perfect Job, is going to be coming out in the next month. Here is a kind of a proof version. That's why it's got this band over here, not for sale, this one. But it'll be coming out soon. And this book is what happens when the world's kind of foremost slob meets an Indian guru and then is granted a siddhi, a mystical gift. In this case, to be able to ride what they call in cycling tempo, in other words, ride at a steady pace without ever growing tired. And so the book relates the kind of shenanigans that Brad, the hero, gets up to when he's ultimately picked up by a pro cycling team. So this one is a lot of fun, but it also has a deeper message, of course, and that is, you know, how do we live a life that's meaningful, where we can find our passion and live it, even in the face of a lot of social pressures. So sure, you'll like this, and I'm going to actually form now what I call a launch team. So what I'm hoping actually is that you, dear viewer, can be part of this launch team. That will involve getting access to early copies of this book. It's on Kindle, audio, and physical copy, and then just helping me to launch it. So ideally writing a review, just an honest review on your thoughts. It's a fairly small book. It's about 270 pages, so it's a pretty quick read. I've had a lot of beta readers and they gobbled it up, usually in just a couple of sittings. So if you're willing to join me with the launch team, you'll see there's a link down the bottom of this video, and all you have to do is put your name in, click on the link, put your name into a form, and I'll send you out all the info on how you can be part of the launch team for the Slob's Guide to the Perfect Job. But back to my situation in Bali. So my phone doesn't work, and I'm like, well, what do I do? And I decided, may as well give Reiki a shot. Now, one of the reasons this occurred to me is, even though working on electronic items is always, for me, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I don't want to put my professional Reiki reputation on the line because it's very, very weird. But historically, I've had plenty of cases where either myself or my students have had really good results with Reiki. Now, I can't explain it. As I say, I'm not going to, you know, if you enrolled in one of my courses, I wouldn't make any promises. I wouldn't be saying, look, bring in your broken electronics and I, Reiki Master Jeremy, will fix them for you. I'm not going to say that. But what I'm hoping is with this video, it will kind of inspire you to give Reiki a shot. Sometimes, you know, I've had people, I remember at a Reiki retreat, and they had a camera back in the old days where we actually used cameras rather than our phone, and the batteries went flat. They're like, what do we do? It's at nighttime. And so they actually Reiki'd the camera and the battery, and that gave them enough charge to happily take shots for the rest of the night. So there are lots of cases like that. What you really want to do is just experiment Reiki'ing certain things. Now, obviously, if the iPhone, you know, has been smacked with a hammer and it's split in two, I don't think Reiki is going to help it much. But there might be certain types of situation which do help. Now, I'll just tell you a couple of stories One was many years ago, when I was just starting out, I was just beginning my Reiki business. It was, almost 15 years ago, and I didn't have all that much money, and my oven broke. And I'm like, well, great, my oven's broken. So to be honest, I didn't have the money to get it fixed. And so for a couple of months, we just couldn't use the oven, and we just, used the stovetop to cook things. And eventually, after a couple of months, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should try Reiki. Now, the only reason I even decided to try Reiki was because, historically speaking, the most influential person in kind of spreading Reiki throughout the world was a lady called Mrs. Takata. And apparently, if you read books on her, she actually did invite her students to bring in broken electronics at the start of one of her classes, and she would Reiki them, and apparently, so the story goes, she would fix them. Now, I wasn't overly hopeful that I would be able to help my poor old oven, but I thought, you know what, I haven't got the money to get it fixed. I haven't used it for a couple of months. I'd even had people come in and check it. My neighbor is a builder kind of handyman, and he came and he just said, look, it's kaput. You're going to need a new oven. And so then I given up. But on this one night, I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. And so I stood with my kind of back to the oven. I put my hands behind me and I Reiki'd the oven for about 15 minutes. And lo and behold, at the end of that, I flicked the switch like I'd done many, many times. It had never worked. But on this occasion, vroom, the oven springs to life. Now, this was pretty bizarre, and I still can't explain it, but I decided, you know what, I'll write about this in one of my newsletters. So I wrote about how I fixed my oven with Reiki. And again, I wasn't saying Reiki can fix ovens or anything like that. I was just going, this was a really weird thing that happened to me. Okay, so one of my students then got on to me and she said, oh, I was interested to hear that you fixed your oven because my oven doesn't work, and could you come and fix it? Now I'm thinking, well, yeah, I'm not sure what the probability is I'll be able to fix her oven. I was thinking pretty slim, to be quite honest. But I was coming into Melbourne from Daylesford to do a course, and she lived, exactly halfway. I said, well, you know what? I'll stop in. And so I stopped in, and she showed me her oven. I thought, well, let's give it a shot. I Reiki'd the oven. And then as I was Reiki'ing, I had this inspiration. I'm like, the switchboard, I've got to go over there. And I noticed that one of the fuses had blown, or the switch had kind of flicked down. So there wasn't going to be any power. And I thought, well, this is going to be the easiest fix ever. So I just flicked the switch back up, went back to the oven, but it still didn't work. And so I was like, oh, great. So I Reiki it some more, and then I try it, but it still doesn't work. And then I'd actually learned from past experiences that sometimes when you work on, it can be humans, it can be electronic goods, there's a bit of a lag time. It's like the energy has to go in and then it starts to operate. But a bit like if you had, say, an aspirin or a Panadol or something to relieve pain, you take it, but it still takes 20 to 30 minutes for the pain to actually go away. And so similarly with Reiki, sometimes it takes a while for the energy actually to go in and then do its magic. And so I said to the lady, look, I'm not overly hopeful, but you never know. Sometimes there's a bit of a lag. And so, if we're really lucky, later on the oven will start working. So I go off, and the next morning I wake up and there's a text message waiting for me, and it's oven working. There was about 7 exclamation marks. It's like, whoa, well, that is really, really interesting. Another time I remember going off on a holiday with my ex and our daughter and her son. And her son at the time was pretty young. He was about 7. And he was really obsessed with this computer game, Wii. I don't know if anyone knows it. Anyway, it's this machine Wii where you can play computer games. And so he hasn't played it for like a week. We've gone all day, and finally we come home and he sprints into the house and he goes to the Wii machine, and you never guess what happened. It just doesn't work. And so he's thinking, oh my God, it doesn't work, and he's all upset. And I said, well, look, let me see if I can Reiki it. Now, to be fair, before I tried Reiki'ing it, I tried all different PowerPoints. I did everything I could to try to get this thing to work. It didn't work, so I went, okay, I Reiki it. So I Reiki it for a while, and then I tried again, and it still doesn't work. And so I'm like, well, great. And so what do I do then? Then I'm like, go off, and I start doing some work, and Alan, my ex's son, he goes and brushes his teeth, and then just before he goes to bed, he tries the Wii machine again. And I'm in my kind of study, and I hear this jubilant cry as it has started to work. So that just gives you a couple of examples of times when I've worked on electronics and it's worked. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll actually switch over to the live footage of me talking about the problems. I kind of show you the iPhone not working, and then I show you a second video, and I've got kind of the time as well. So you see it's late at night, it's like 10:30 at night, so there's not really any opportunity to go out and get it fixed at that time. But you then see, and I show you other electronic appliances working from the PowerPoint, so you see that it's my phone. And then after I rake it, I come back and we video again, and you see that the phone starts working. Now, of course, if you're watching this video, you could go, yes, Jeremy, who knows what he did? I mean, I cut away for 30 minutes. Okay, I didn't video myself raking it for 30 minutes. That would be pretty boring. But who knows what I might have done in that 30 minutes. Now, previously to trying to rake it, I had cleaned out the little slot, the power slot. I'd done everything imaginable, but it still didn't work. So look, you might be watching this video and you go, well, Jeremy, you probably did who knows what. Well, I can't disprove that. So if you want to believe that I'm making all this up and that who knows what I did to fix the iPhone, then you're most welcome to. So there's not really any point writing comments down there going that who knows what I did. It's up to you, okay? So you can watch the video, you can believe me or not believe me. In fact, when you're doing Reiki, you may as well almost like not believe me, but what you should do is test it out. Okay, if you have a electronic thing which isn't, gadget which isn't working, try it. And I'm not saying it's gonna always work. Sometimes it won't work, but guess what? Maybe sometimes it will work. And that will be quite fascinating. I mean, I'm sure my daughter didn't believe it was gonna work. And you can see it's kind of authentic, the video, because she's making fun of me because I'm using my kind of video voice as I as I shoot this video, and so she's ribbing me for that as she does it. But the phone worked, and I'll just, before I shoot to the videos we shot on the occasion, I'll just say a really interesting thing. The next morning it was working well, but it still was a little bit dodgy, the port. It was like sometimes you had to kind of jiggle it, and maybe how sometimes you have to flip it over so it works on one side but it doesn't work on the other. Well, I still needed to do that a bit. But since then, guess what? It started to work perfectly. So now it's been several days now. I'm back in Australia and the phone is just as good as new. So very interesting. So anyway, this video is really just for you to go, let's experiment with electronics. You don't have to believe me. Who knows? You can think I did whatever I did. But I'll tell you right now, I didn't do anything except for give it a little bit of Reiki, and then it started to work. Okay, so go out and experiment with your electronics. I hope you enjoyed it's a very short little videos of me showing you what I did live. And also remember, Slob's Guide to the Perfect Job. I promise you, this is a very funny book. The beta readers went gaga over it. I'm really excited to get out into the world. It's a quirky, fun concept. You've got slob par excellence. This guy, he's like 41, pot belly, and he ends up on a pro cycling team. So unlikely kind of story, but I think you'll find it all right. It'll be lots of fun. So please join me for the launch team and go out and experiment with Reiki and electronics. So enjoy these couple of minutes of live video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.
That's filling.
Okay, so we have a problem here. Notice that it's plugged in.
And it's all plugged in here too.
And I'll show you something.
And it's plugged into the wall.
Well, I'll show you. We'll plug one
We need to do
we just need to plug something else in, and you can see it works. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, it's not working. Now we have a problem that I'm trying to update it, hoping that might fix the problem. But because it's under 50%, you cannot even install it. Now note that it's plugged in. Now let's unplug this and let's try, say, the iPad, just to show that the power is working. Here's the iPad. Plug it in.
There we
and
go.
you see it's charging, right? See the little icon there?
Yeah.
Charging.
PC.
But plug my phone in and the stupid thing doesn't work.
Alright.
So now, of course, it's time to put some energy work to the test. And let's see if we can't fix this a la Mrs. Takata from a long time ago.
You're using your broadcast
Here we go.
voice.
Here we go. It's important. This is a broadcast. We're about to demonstrate the power of Reiki to fix an electronic item. Okay, so it's not working,
This will
and
be
now
embarrassing if
let's
it
give it a
doesn't
shot.
work.
So we'll pause this video and
But
we'll
then
come
if
back.
we pause it, we could have used a different
Well, we could
charger.
have, but no one's going to wait for 20 minutes while I do it. And let's look at the night. So you can see the date here. It's 10:51 And that's PM, by the way. I'm
Should
not
we
sure
show
if
them with a different?
Okay, let's look up the time. So you see the time, just so you know that we're not going out to a store in the middle of the night. So it local time.
I don't think we can fully prove it. I mean, there's
Oh,
always
it's
going to
pretty.
be
Oh, well,
skepticism.
maybe they can be skeptical if they want. 12. There we go. 10:52, local time. Here we are. We're actually in Bali, just so you know. Okay, so I'm going to take this away for a bit, and hopefully within an hour it can be fixed. So
See you guys in an hour.
see you now.
It is now 11:20.
So we've spent 30 minutes odd.
Yeah.
I went out, did other things. So now we've got the cord. Here's the phone. Let's just go back to the date so everyone can still see. Later for that one.
Yeah.
And now let's go back to here. And now let's hit refresh.
22:52.
That was yesterday. That was the last time we
was
checked.
last time.
So let's refresh it, can we? Local time. Okay. 23:20. See, check the date. You can see the date's still the same.
Yeah.
It's at night. Now we plug in. Ready?
Wait. I'm gonna zoom in.
Okay, we're about to plug in.
Moment of truth.
You peanut.
Flip it.
Look at that. Look at that. As they say in Japan, Reiki. So
Charging.
and now it's charging, we can even update it. So watch that. Of course, until we could charge it, we weren't allowed to. It's just, showing a bit of power there, doing the impossible with Reiki.